Hey everybody, Dr. Michael here with Valiant Physical Therapy, where I specialize in working with runners here in Evanston, Illinois. And I want to talk about a common problem that a lot of my patients face, and even sometimes that I face when working with them and helping them put exercise programs together. And that is finding the time to get it all done. There's a lot on our plates, and between work, family, and other responsibilities, we are also the type of people that are very active and we're trying to do more exercise. Okay, we are trying to add things to our plate in order to become our best selves. And for most of us, it's not enough just to run. Sometimes you also want to do some other exercises. Some of them are more rehab focused, some of them are more strength training and weightlifting and performance based. So, when do you do all this kind of stuff? When do you actually find the time to fit it all in? Well, that's a tricky question, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. Here's kind of how I've found a way to make it all work together. And by no means have a perfect schedule, and I don't always get it done. But here are some ways that I found to make some of the most important things to get done. First, from a rehab standpoint, if you ever are dealing with an active problem and there is a pain point that you're having and you're trying to get rid of that pain, it is extremely helpful to find 1, 2, maybe 3 things that you can do that just hit that spot and hit it in the way that it needs to be hit. Sometimes you can think that you have a glute issue, but really it's a hip range of motion problem. Whatever it is, maybe you need some special attention from a medical provider to actually get you the direct attention that you need and the guidance that you need to figuring out what those 3 things are. But if you can really whittle it down to a small handful of things that you can do that make a difference in making you feel better and working towards where you want to be, it's going to be a lot easier to do 1, 2, 3 things than it is to do a whole workout routine that takes 45 to 60 minutes and then trying to jam that in. So, for example, in the process of me rehabbing my tibial bone stress injury, I discovered that using the mobile board was very beneficial for me in improving my arch control. Okay. And basically what I did was I brought the mobile board home and I put it by my couch, and every time my wife would be watching TV or we would be relaxing or doing something, I would just do a few sets of the mobile board, right? And I just had it in my mind that, okay, this is the one thing I want to try to get done every day. So I'm going to put it somewhere where I see it, and I'm just going to do this one thing. So that's one of the tips that I have is if you can figure out something in particular, something very pointed, specific to your problem that helps you, find a way to just make it easy to do it throughout the day. For me, it was the mobile board, just putting it on the rug next to the couch. I would see it and I'd want to do it. And it was actually kind of fun for me to play around with that device. So I like that side of it. But making it easy to do, making it convenient to do, seeing an object that triggers you to think, okay, let me go do this thing, or thinking of a time of day when you can do it most easily and not be interrupted. That's really a good approach to completing these things. Doing it when you have the symptoms is also kind of a nice trigger. So if you feel something that you're like, oh man, there's that thing, and you know something to do that can take the pain away, feeling the symptoms is often a good trigger to then do the exercise. However, that's not really the best way to do it long term. You are really going to want to get ahead of that pain and see if you can do those things even when you don't have symptoms to prevent it from even coming back. But that's a little bit more nuanced. When it comes to actually doing the strength training, okay, and actually programming strength training into your routine, it is nice to have a little bit of a flow, a little bit of a specific routine of exercises that you can do in 30 minutes or less, at least to start. Sometimes we get really caught up in this idea that workouts need to be an hour, that workouts need to be a certain length of time, that it doesn't count unless it's this amount or it's this intense. But especially at the beginning, consistency of completion is the most important thing. So if you're not getting the workouts in because you're trying to do too much, or you're thinking that it needs to be this long and you're just not working out, it doesn't matter how perfect the plan is, you're not doing it. So try to keep it short, keep it simple, and just focus on executing it consistently. And that's actually going to have a longer and a better impact than trying to have this perfect plan that's so elaborate and long that you just don't do because it's too long. So keeping it short, keeping it simple and executable is step number one. In terms of actually finding time during the week to do the exercises, it really depends on what you want to do and what you like to do and how your week is really structured. But let's say someone's running 5 days a week and they want to do some strength training, and they're already doing hard runs, they're already doing long runs, they kind of have a really nice training program from a running standpoint, but now they want to add in some strength training, okay? 2 days goes a long way. You don't need much more than 2 days from a strength training standpoint, especially when you're balancing all these things. And if you just stick to lower body or more compound movements, you can get a lot done in less than 30 minutes. And there's a common saying like hard days are hard. I really like that philosophy. So if you have a hard run day, you can also put in the harder workout from a strength training standpoint. You can add the strength workout actually on your hard day so that all that load is on one day, and then you have a little bit more time to rest before your next hard day. If you put in with the philosophy of hard days being hard, what I'll say is if you go off of the philosophy of hard days being hard, then what ends up happening, and this is in defense of the philosophy, is that you do a hard workout and then you wait till the next day where maybe you have an easy run, and then you do a hard strength training session, and then the next day you do a hard run, then you're kind of spreading the hard out a lot, and you really never give yourself a good deload day. You're kind of just keeping your training intensity high the whole week. So hard days being hard basically takes advantage of this idea that you can recover better in between the hard days by making the day that's in between that, or a couple days in between that, relatively easy instead of spreading the hard the whole way. So there's a lot of nuance to scheduling training sessions and rehab specific exercises or strength training sessions. It does take a lot of practice to find out what actually works best for you and what you like to do and what you can sustain. But at the end of the day, focusing on consistency of execution is the most important thing. If you're not consistently executing on your plan because it's too hard, it just doesn't work, you have to force it, it doesn't feel natural, whatever, you probably need to edit something. And usually the thing that I find people need to edit is they're just trying to do too much, and they really just need to focus on a couple simple things that they can execute with their busy lives and actually get it done. So if you found this video helpful, drop me a like. If you have a question, put it in the comments. If you think this video would be helpful for someone you know, send it over to them, and thank you for watching.